S.W.Frost is now live streaming Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 Thai no art offers please every day I wake up.
I'll sleep. Dag. Ja. Ja. Dat wordt veel.
HVDES.
Oh my
Welcome to
lord.
my channel.
Don't burst my eardrums. What's the matter with you?
Gear.
Test.
Gear.
Aki.
Yeah, that seems to work somehow.
I'm lagging.
Yeah, don't. There's people on the left side.
Why didn't I choke you?
Because you toasted too far. It's pretty dangerous there.
No, I did choke your... Eh?
You toasted too far.
Hey El Nelly girl. Welcome to my channel. Grabsnat. Welcome to my
Okay,
channel.
okay.
There's people in front of you. If you have a
Yeah.
Oh, yo.
I have nowhere to go, man.
Yeah, you have. You died. Just choke me.
Oh, there's someone there too.
Yeah.
I have nowhere to go, man. What?
Do your stuff.
In the dark night, lone Rick Rage felt outnumbered, so he listened to his inner voice.
Where do I want to go?
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Welcome to my channel.
Some right there.
Yeah, that's you. I'm burning.
Yeah, man. Handle your own situation. So fuck.
In the last one, and someone else died.
Oh, that's bad.
No!
Are there only two?
No, I don't know.
No,
Look,
two more. Two more.
Same direction?
Dead. Just one more.
Hit.
Bob, left side.
Hit. I'm bleeding.
Nah, you were second. Hey, my friend, get up.
I'm second because I died for you, or what?
Wait, you died because you're bad, man.
No.
Woo! The shot bar is so
more people
crazy, man. I don't know. Yo, two people south there.
Solid. Oh no. Oh no.
I'm lagging.
Yeah, don't. There's people on the left side.
Why didn't I choke you?
Because you toasted too far. It's pretty dangerous there.
No, I did choke your... Eh?
You toasted too far. It went over me.
Okay.
Seth.
There's people in front of you.
Seth.
Careful.
Yeah.
Seth.
I have nowhere to go, man.
Seth.
Yeah, you have.
Seth.
Just choke me.
Seth. Seth.
Oh, there's someone there too. I have nowhere to go, man.
Do your stuff.
In the dark night,
Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood. I have to check when the dailies are rotating. Yep. And there is a meme potential here. Okay. It's a very tasty cake, trust me. Oh Lord.
Hey everyone, today's going to be fun because it turns out Valve are using Christmas to nuke the naughty with bans. Activision have also got their lovely battles with a few US government agencies coming to an end in a way that's decently expensive. Microsoft, they have very much missed the boat. They are not getting Baldur's Gate 3 on Game Pass. It's kind of hilarious. We've actually seen their internal estimates for the game, and yeah, they are so goddamn out of touch. It is very funny, but I suppose much like that time I heard of the guy who passed on Dead Cells for his publisher, yeah, I've kind of got the feeling that's a costly mistake that they'll actually learn. And also, a critically acclaimed indie studio is shutting its doors this year, but it's got one last Christmas present to give to everybody. Valve are getting festive. The Frost of Us update is out for Dota 2, and they've brought in the patch notes as well as some fun seasonal treats. So, if you've been good all year in Dota 2, right, and you've kept your behavior score high, because yes, they do have a behavior score, then you're going to get a bunch of rewards in the form of free gifts. But for those who haven't, well, you're going to be getting a little bit of a different situation. Perhaps you raged a little bit during the year. Maybe that knocked your score. Maybe you were a little bit of a naughty smurfer. Well, that was a mistake, and your account may be in jeopardy. Especially for the smurfing, because this is actually following Valve banning 90,000 game accounts for smurfing back in September, and there are ongoing ban waves for that very same thing that have been happening ever since. Basically, they're just trying to be really proactive, trying to make sure that Dota 2 is actually an overall healthy scene. Because, yeah, I mean, come on, playing a multiplayer game and, like, ratings aren't working because people are smurfing, it is literally the worst, and it chews up new players. But what's happened is, following the International, they've got some fun feedback for their pros. They were basically having problems with the fact that it was an open secret that some pros could just do whatever the hell they wanted and never really face consequences for doing any of that, which obviously is not fair. We've got massive ban waves, regular to people being nuked because, yeah, they're smurfing, they're breaking the rules, but pros, they just get to do it. Valve have agreed that criticism is actually fair. They say they already know that this stuff's been going on because they've been analyzing all the data and they have a fair idea of those who have been smurfing, but also when they've done other questionable things, basically in order to try to get around Valve's behavior score system. So, yes, the watchful eye of Gabe, or more accurately, people who are being employed by Gabe, yeah, it's fallen down on them. The rules should apply to everybody, and from now on they will, and smurfing isn't even the only naughty thing players are getting up to. Amongst other questionable choices, some bad actors are playing like jerks, ruining games, and losing behavior score because of it, then hiring behavior score farmers to drive it back up. So, isn't that lovely? You may, in fact, have a lovely, polite game with somebody who's just an absolute star, and it turns out they are being paid to increase somebody's behavior rating because that person has just been really toxic. Again, that is hell. We live in a nightmare universe, that even exists. And yes, that does mean that there are people on the planet Earth who are employed to farm behavior score in a video game. Hey, who's to say the economy doesn't produce legitimate, good, useful value for folks who need it. Oh boy. Okay, so obviously, this stuff could just be delivered as a part of a ban wave, right? There could be 90,000 people gone, and a few pros also get gone. Or you could be Valve, which probably means you're, you know, a little bit rebellious and also have got a sense of humor. So, if you've ever smurfed or engaged in terms of service breaking behavior of any kind, then your gift won't have any cosmetics in it. You'll open your gift and you will actually find a ban. There will be a ban in your gift and they will put some coal in your inventory. This led to this incredible clip of Mason being surprised as streamer with a ban live on camera after he opened what he thought was his free gift. From this, he then went to post a lengthy explanation and a request for clemency. Of course, that fun old phrase, if you've not done anything wrong, you've got nothing to fear, that does crop up, and obviously that's the sort of thing that you can see some silly people use, you know, out of context, where maybe there are some things that should or should not happen on a more fundamental level. It's the sort of idea that people are like, well, you know, if you don't do anything bad, you don't have anything to worry about. Well, a lot of people would also say it's better that 10 guilty people walk free so that one innocent person doesn't get wrongfully imprisoned. But of course, this mostly is talking about Dota. So I don't really think we need to get into the sort of more societal application of these concepts. But for everybody else, right, we just got to keep in mind the tone that Valve chose to take with their post here. So we'd like to wish everybody a happy Frostivus festival, except Smurf accounts, who we assume will not enjoy the update as they choke on their ritually deserved coal-flavored just.
Contract marked.
channel.
You don't want them?
Okay, who is offering the recipe?
Oh, thank you. Hey, if you guys have not tried this new sniper rifle out, Pack-a-Punch, it's so fucking badass, bro. Especially with Deadshot on. You can quick scope like a motherfucker with it.
The one that shoots.
I just been running around the tier 3 with it.
Wait, no. Yeah. I got this. Anybody want plans for a ray gun?
I've already got all the schematics for the whole game.
Okay. Thank you again. Good luck, Todd.
Yes, sir.
The fuck exploded?
Got a contract here.
bots. Retarded. Very, very retarded.
Got a loot cache here.
I tried to get a deck of HVT cards printed up, but Green said no. That target's the paint cards for sure.
channel.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the 31st episode of Analyzing Evil, featuring our patron pick for the month of June, Daniel Plainview, from There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis, as Daniel Plainview, provides a stellar performance that leaves us with an emotionally and psychologically complex character, whose devolution over the course of this film is a fascinating study into the detrimental aspects of one's personality that can lead to severe consequences when one's ambitions are left unchecked. To get an accurate picture of just who Daniel is, this video will begin with an overview of his traits and skills, before we move on to discuss the many nuances to his personality that have an effect on his goals in life, and the unfortunate circumstances we see unfolding throughout the film that ultimately bring Daniel to a self-made ruin. There's a lot to cover here, so without further ado, let's begin. Now, one of the best scenes to give us a starting point in analyzing Daniel Plainview actually occurs midway through the film, and that's the iconic scene where he gives a speech to his false brother about the competition that resides within him, a speech I'll be referring back to multiple times throughout this video. We'll start by covering the components of this speech that are the foundation of Daniel's personality and the man he's become. I have a competition in me. I want no one else to succeed. I hate most people. There are times when I look at people and I see nothing worth liking. I want to earn enough money that I can get away from everyone. I see the worst in people. I don't need to look past seeing them to get all I need. I've built my hatreds up over the years, little by little. To have you here gives me a second breath in life. I can't keep doing this on my own with these people. Now that I've given you a refresher on this speech, there's no better place to start looking at his skills and traits than the introductory scene of the film. This introductory scene shows us two of Daniel's most important traits right from the get-go that are backed up by his intrinsic desire to compete and succeed, those being his determination and his resolve. Many individuals who find themselves at the bottom of a mine shaft with a broken leg, miles from civilization, would, after a certain amount of effort to free themselves, abandon all hope and accept their fate. But a man who toils in a self-dug mine shaft for who knows how long is not one who abandons hope easily, especially considering this broken leg is a direct result of his discovery of a vein of silver. Though this event may have had an impact on his sense of self-preservation, whether or not he had discovered this silver would have likely made little difference to Daniel, as a man who is willing to drag himself for miles through bleak desert is one who is no stranger to adversity, and one whose will to survive surpasses any fear that might have surfaced in the moment he felt his leg snap. Concurrent with his views of people and his ability to extract what he needs from them, in the scene where he and his son are holding a town hall meeting of sorts, we get to see another crucial aspect of Daniel, his silver tongue. Though it gets him nowhere here, we get to see Daniel employ tactics in his speech that are common tools used in the art of persuasion. First, he establishes who he is, what he represents, and what he's accomplished. Here, speaking about what his company has accomplished, and the current success he is having in his endeavors. Next, he mentions the potential of the situation being discussed, in this case, the opportunity for great wealth through extraction of the oil beneath this community. And then he immediately presents a problem and the obstacles that can stand in the way of this opportunity, which here he identifies as speculators and scalpers who are looking solely at making a profit for themselves and not the people who hired them. When presented with a question about a solution to this problem, he circles back to his own qualifications, stating his expertise, hands-on approach to his business, and his ability to quickly and efficiently begin producing for this community, all while he simultaneously highlights the errors and mishaps that are prone to his competition, peppering in mention of his values and moral standing by highlighting himself as a family man, someone ordinary, a man who's much like the people he's speaking to. You can often find this method of persuasion and negotiation in both business and politics. And the way Daniel is highlighting his own accomplishments without overtly boasting about them, while simultaneously undermining his competition, shows us that he has a firm grasp of the art of conversation and the ability to empathize with the people he's trying to persuade, appearing to them as a man whose intentions are pure and one who's on their side, as opposed to the seedy entities that are his competition. His posture and mannerisms also play a part, as he reflects a calm confidence, and the way he moves and speaks is reassuring and firm, yet not so much so as to be intimidating, contributing to the image he's trying to project as a competent and capable businessman with an eye set towards helping the people who partner with him. The following scene reflects much the same, but as this is a more personal conversation, he adds another component into this negotiation, that of a careful prodding at the important things in a person's life, a small reminder of why they're engaging in this negotiation in the first place. Here, he reminds the couple he's speaking to of their children, a small misdirection of the conversation that serves to bring their focus back to their priorities, rather than any discrepancies they find in the proposal Daniel has laid out for them. These traits are the tools Daniel uses to realize his ambitions, and his use of the resources available to him, and the understanding he has of the desires and morals of other people, and how to turn them to serve his own ends, is frequently employed by Daniel, as we often see him invoking family values and a belief in God to back up the claims he's presenting to his potential business partners. However, this image of a benevolent business partner is nothing but a carefully crafted facade. There's no doubting that with a booming business comes booming communities, but the profits Daniel provides to the people he does business with is nothing but an afterthought. And we see this notion in the scene where he's confronted by Paul Sunday with information about a potential reserve of oil that lays untapped under his family's ranch. Here he's much more terse and vague, and this conversation reflects the businessman he actually is, a much more conventional one, whose concerns lie with his profits and not the prosperity of the people he deals with. This is further expanded upon when he arrives at the Sunday ranch, where he states to his son his intentions to lowball the Sunday family. All of these things seem to indicate that he's a manipulator, and he certainly does employ manipulation as one of his tactics, but I think it's more accurate to peg him as a sly, smooth-talking salesman who has the credentials of hard work and reputation to back up any of the false promises he makes to people. Now that we've covered these crucial skills and traits, let's move on to his personality. A few things are evident from the way he conducts himself, those being that he is without a doubt a highly envious narcissist with an overt superiority complex and fragile ego. I'm sure this stems from the fact that his view of people is one of inferiority and distaste, even the people he envies, coupled with his view of himself as a hard-working, well-informed, and self-made man who need not bow to anyone that happens to cross his path. Daniel is a man who feels he has the right of every situation, and though his outward boasting when he's making his case to prospective business partners is part of the game he plays, he really does in truth believe that he is the man he tells everybody he is, and nobody can tell him otherwise. These high opinions of his own capabilities, coupled with his negative view of nearly everyone around him, causes Daniel to be susceptible to even the smallest of slights, either real or perceived. And what plays into these highly detrimental personality traits is the intense rage that he harbors within himself, causing him to hold grudges against those who wrong him in any way. Hatred for these individuals stored away in his memory to be used at a later date, and his behavior towards these people is racked with spite and snide hostility, which can devolve into violence when he's pushed too far. We have many examples of this throughout the film, and we first see this during his negotiations with the Sundays. Here, Daniel is on the losing side of a deal that he has deemed to be fruitful, and he becomes frantic, the veneer of a calm and collected businessman slowly fading as his nefarious intent is brought forward, and he becomes much more abrupt and dismissive in his speech patterns. What we get to see now is his impatience and panic mixed with rage when he views an opportunity to further his success slipping between his fingers. This is only a shadow of what's to come, and his rage manifests in increasing measure as the film progresses. From this point on, though, Daniel's rage is nearly always accompanied by the spite and snide hostility that I mentioned before, which, while tied to his rage, is more so tied to a superiority complex. Take, for example, the moment where Daniel refuses Eli's request to have Daniel introduce him and bless the well. Now, the reason that Daniel did this is obviously because he dislikes Eli, but there's more to it than that. Eli is, in a way, just like Daniel, but his motivations contrast and conflict with Daniel's. This makes it natural for the two of them to butt heads, but what rubs Daniel the wrong way in this moment is that Eli, someone who Daniel believes is both ridiculous and beneath him, deigned to tell Daniel what to do. And this is something that Daniel cannot abide from anyone, let alone this delusional, superstition-obsessed young man. Later in this scene, we get another moment of spite from Daniel when he displays disdain for Abel Sunday, who Daniel learned beats his daughter through his son, and makes it a point to call him out in front of his daughter, flashing his own power and stating that he'll be the one taking care of Mary from now on. We again see his rivalry and animosity towards Eli in the scene where he asks Daniel for the money that is owed to him. Here, he abuses Eli for again attempting to tell Daniel what he needs to do. This is the same thing that happens with Tilford, as in their first meeting, Daniel perceives that Tilford is attempting to tell him how to run his family. Now, he might have been doing so to a certain extent, but not to the degree that Daniel believes he is, and the reaction Daniel has here is beyond excessive, especially for what is essentially a misunderstanding. Earlier, I mentioned that Daniel is able to empathize with the people he is negotiating with, and that's only partly true. As though Daniel is able to feign empathy for the purposes of conducting business, he has almost none when it comes down to it, and he is much more concerned with his own feelings rather than the feelings of others. His relationships suffer as a result of this, and Daniel finds himself without any true friends outside his own son, and for a time, his so-called brother. But as we know, both of these relationships end up crumbling. The one with his false brother is understandable, considering he had been deceiving and using him over the course of their relationship. However, that's no excuse for the way in which Daniel ended this relationship, and while he's completely justified in being angry with this man, that doesn't give him cause to murder him. As for his son, the devolution of their relationship happens because Daniel's narcissism gives him the distinction of being a narcissistic parent. We see that Daniel is clearly fond of his son, and also of Mary Sunday, but as we see towards the end of the film, the love he has for his son quickly evaporates when his son expresses his independence and his desire to go his own way, directly challenging the notion that the people Daniel is involved with, and who have benefited from his success, owe Daniel a debt of loyalty and gratitude. And anyone, family included, who falters on this debt is not worthy of his time or energy. A component of his superiority complex is Daniel's disdain and discomfort towards religion. We see this multiple times throughout the film, and it's clear that Daniel is a non-believer when it comes to anything spiritual, which isn't a bad thing by any means. But in Daniel's case, the reasoning for his non-belief runs deeper than theological or philosophical differences. I believe the reason for his atheism is the fact that Daniel is a self-made man, and due to the life of determination and self-reliance that he's led so far, he doesn't believe any sort of deity was present to help him along the way, and he doesn't appropriate his success and good fortune to any god, but rather to his own hard work and determination. We can only speculate on what Daniel's life was like before we met him in the opening scene of the film, but I think it's safe to say that through all the hardship he likely experienced in his life, he found no comfort in turning to God, and found no results when he turned to prayer, causing him to write off any notion of God or a higher power altogether, replacing it with utter faith in his own will to survive and succeed. All of these traits seem to indicate that Daniel either suffers from antisocial personality disorder, specifically sociopathy, or narcissistic personality disorder. However, he doesn't have all the symptoms of either, but he does display many of the behaviors that are present in a person with narcissistic personality disorder, more so than the symptoms that are prevalent within a sociopath. and those symptoms are his exaggerated sense of self-importance and exaggerated talents, as we see when he claims he's the only person capable of doing certain jobs, and how effective he is at completing them. His preoccupation with fantasies of his success, like when he enters into a trance-like state upon striking oil in Little Boston, where we see that he is so mesmerized with the gold he sees spewing forth from the earth, that for what seems to be an entire day, he stands watching this fountain of wealth like a predator, wholly unconcerned with the sorry state of his son lying deaf and broken right behind him. Then we have the way he monopolizes conversations and belittles people he views to be inferior to himself. His expectation of unquestioning compliance with his own expectations, as he expects with Eli, his son, and prospective business partners. The way he takes advantage of others to obtain what he wants. His inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others, as we see during his conversation with his son towards the end of the film. The envy he states to have for others. His dependence on alcohol. Significant interpersonal problems causing him to easily feel slighted, and secret feelings of shame, as we can see when he's questioned about his son, as well as feelings of vulnerability, which comes from his inherent loneliness that is apparent from his dependence on his relationship with both his son and falsified brother. I'm hesitant to claim that Daniel suffers from narcissistic personality disorder outright, and the reason for that is because people with this disorder aren't capable of feeling true guilt or remorse. But as we see a few times in the film, Daniel definitely is, particularly after he kills his false brother, when he admits to abandoning his son in the Church of the Third Revelation, and when he's reminiscing on the relationship he had with his son that has since been lost due to his own actions. These three moments hit Daniel in a similar way. The murder and loss of his false brother, coupled with the absence of his son in his life at that time, crushes Daniel in more ways than one. In the run-up to this moment, he realizes early in the day that this man is in truth not his brother, and throughout this day, he's torn on what to do about this revelation. On the one hand, you have a man who deceived him, but on the other is the fact that this man is Daniel's only friend in the world, and this conflict is tearing Daniel apart as the day goes on. This problem is eventually solved by something that Daniel frequently turns to for solutions: alcohol. A mixture of inebriation and rage envelop Daniel, and only after he's buried this man's body and reads the diary of his actual brother does the magnitude of what he's been subjected to and what he's done hit him. The immense outpouring of grief we see here happens in part because Daniel is mourning the loss of a brother he never knew, and is so distraught over how thoroughly he was deceived and placated to a place of love and companionship that was nothing but a sham, a momentary solution to the overwhelming hatred he felt for nearly everyone around him. However, this grief also comes from the fact that he's selfish, and now that he's murdered his only friend, he feels utterly alone and is racked with despair and guilt over what he's done, realizing in this moment that though this man had deceived him, he still valued the relationship they had. I think the reason Daniel felt so attached to a brother figure, even a false one, can be understood by looking at three things he said during his competition speech. In that speech, he tells Henry that if Daniel has certain traits, they must be in Henry too. He then tells him that Henry joining him in his endeavors gave him a second breath in life, and then he goes on to say that he can't continue doing what he's doing alone. Now, Daniel has plenty of associates that he can rely on, but what Daniel sees in this brother is someone who might be just like him. Someone that understands him, and will be able to support him in a way that others who don't share the same traits can. Finding this person was truly a second breath for Daniel. And though in actuality this false Henry didn't naturally contain the same traits as Daniel, he still formed a bond with him, and that bond was one of the few things outside of his own ambitions that Daniel truly valued. As for his abandonment of his son, he had already felt guilty for sending him away, and after Henry's death, his guilt over the murder amplifies the guilt he feels over abandoning his son. And even though Daniel is trying to power through his confession in the church and convince himself that he feels no remorse over his actions, we can see the pain that manifests on his face as he's shouting that he abandoned his son. Following the return of his son, Daniel is very hands-on and loving with him, holding him close to him as he realizes that he's the only thing in his life that has any real meaning, and is someone who can yet become the partner that he's always desired. Now, with all of this in mind, I think it's fair to say that Daniel has a borderline case of narcissistic personality disorder, as he certainly displays quite a lot of characteristics of this disorder. but the small amount of guilt and remorse he shows keeps him from having this disorder outright. I could be wrong, so if anybody has anything else to add to this overview, let me know down in the comments. Now, all of these traits within Daniel fuel the most detrimental aspect of his entire personality, his immense greed and desire to surpass all those around him, which is the cause of all the misfortune that occurs in his life, and what ultimately leads to him committing acts of evil. The consequences of this greed are presented to us in every endeavor that Daniel undertakes, as the good that occurs from his greed is always tempered by a tragic event that mars his success, whether it be personal or impersonal. We see this when he hastens to extract the silver from his mine, which causes him to break a leg, when the shoddy construction of his first derrick results in the death of another man, his negligent business practices that cause the death of yet another man, and then only a short time after, the deafening of his son, and in his later years, the shattered relationship he develops with his son after his ambitions have come to fruition. The way this greed affects Daniel is comparable to the behavior of an addict, where he experiences highs in the excitement and ecstasy he feels after his avaricious desires come to fruition, and intense lows in the highly negative fallout these desires cause in the destruction of either those around him, his own person, or the people he loves. And with this addiction comes a fatal flaw in Daniel that puts him in a perpetual cycle of elation and misery. His inability to understand that his greed is the direct cause of all the misfortune he experiences during his years as an oil man. Every drop of alcohol that enhances his emotions, every moment of recollection of past events, or understanding of the reality of his unfortunate circumstances, is shown to us in the way his features contort into a mournful and grief-stricken countenance, his demons haunting every memory that flits into his head. But with this pain comes no realization that it's he who is the cause of his misfortune, and not what he perceives as bad circumstance, or the people who he thinks undermine his efforts. It's this inability to accept the reality of his situation that causes Daniel to increasingly rely on alcohol, to the point where after his son comes back to him, his alcoholism has bled into his public life, and he proceeds to berate and humiliate Tilford in a show of liquor-fueled spite. By the time we find Daniel in 1927, we have a man whose successes have brought him great fortune, but this seclusion has hardly brought Daniel the happiness he so sought, and has instead reduced him to a depraved and emotionally volatile alcoholic. His encounter with his son shows us what unchecked greed can bring you. We see the eyes of a madman, behind which lies the selfishness we've come to expect from a narcissist like Daniel. And even here, with his son pouring his heart out to him, telling him that he loves him, and that he wishes to keep his relationship with him, a way to salvage the terrible conditions that Daniel has put himself in right in front of his eyes. And he still meets it with his characteristic spite and anger. 2 years later, in his castle of his own creation, his solemn prison full of painful memories and drunken stupors, we find for ourselves a Daniel who spiraled even further into the hole he's created for himself. A disheveled mess of a man, passed out in his own filth on the floor of his bowling alley. And now we see the truth of Daniel Plainview, that he is, like so many addicts, a slave to not only his greed, but to his own destructive narcissism. A man who is so consumed with his own self that his efforts have brought him to a point higher than where he started, but one much lower at the same time. Joy has been sapped from Daniel's life, and all that remains to him is a hunched, convulsive body filled with nothing but liquor, guilt, and broken memories. There is nothing left in Daniel to break the man he's become, and at this point, he's far beyond any sort of redemption, fully consumed by all the negatives that lay within his personality. And now, with Eli Sunday presenting himself to Daniel once again, the cruelest aspect of this abhorrent personality resurfaces: his spite. This spite is the only joy left to Daniel, and the elation we see Daniel experience during his mental torturing of Eli is likely the best he's felt in a long time. And this joy is, of course, accompanied by his anger, which has grown and grown during his years of isolation and alcoholism, bursting in this moment as he loses himself to his worst impulses and advances like a madman on a cowardly and defenseless Eli. There seems to be a moment just after he's knocked Eli unconscious that Daniel considers what he's about to do and whether he should proceed. But this flicker of hesitation is quickly overridden by every ounce of pent-up emotion that Daniel has acquired over the last 18 years, all of which is unleashed upon Eli. He remarks to his butler at the end of this altercation that he's finished. And he is, in every sense of the word, as what is left for Daniel in this world he's created for himself. Not family, nor friends, nor anyone to compete with. Daniel has achieved everything he desired. He's succeeded. He's won, and all that he's become is his reward. This is who Daniel Plainview is. He's a man who held within him an admirable amount of self-determination and force of will, backed up by the desire to succeed in life and make something of himself. However, these traits would mean nothing when held within a narcissistic man whose focus was attuned solely on his own greed and his ambition to be first amongst his competitors, a victorious warrior standing atop a pile of his vanquished enemies. In his mad effort to build his own world, everything he held dear would crumble by his own hand, leading Daniel toward self-destruction, reducing him to nothing more than a hollow being filled with addiction, spite, and sorrow. A spiteful, avaricious, misanthropic, and narcissistic murderer, Daniel Plainview was a malignant tumor that fed off the lives of not only those around him, but his own soul as well, reducing him to the sorry state we find him in at the end of the film. And at this end, he has only himself to blame, as every terrible thing that Daniel has done, or that has been done to him, is the direct result of a man whose intentions and ambitions were sabotaged from the very beginning by nothing more than his own evil. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Analyzing Evil, and I hope you've enjoyed. What are your thoughts on Daniel? Did I miss anything? Let me know down below, and leave a suggestion for a villain you'd like to see featured while you're at it. If you liked this video, and want to see more like it appearing in your feed, click the subscribe button to keep up on the latest episodes, and feel free to leave a like while you're at it. Thank you once again to all of my existing subscribers for your incredible support. If you'd like to support the channel further, consider signing up as a patron over on Patreon. You can find a link to Patreon down in the description. Thank you to everyone who signed up so far, and a most vile thank you to those whose names you're seeing on screen now.
Something that I'd hear a lot when covering the My Little Pony jar guy was, wow, that's a lot of dedication to fill that jar up.
Follow me on the
even
social
after you
media
got tired of the
listed
joke,
in the description
just out of
for
sense of
occasional
duty,
updates on
because
the
you made a
channel.
promise to 4chan.
As always,
you know,
thanks
to
for
slog
watching,
through that,
and I'll be
you gotta be
seeing
shooting powder. Well, if you
soon.
think the My Little Pony jar guy was committed to the bit, wait until you hear about the guy that went for close to a decade. A 4chan user who is considered by many to be the progenitor of every such project. A man who had his own holiday. This is the story of Jesus Christ.
Studios in New York City. This is Charlie Rose.
Do you like my watch? I got it from today's sponsor, Thorum. Thorum is a husband and wife owned company based out of Tampa that's been making unique minimalist rings since 2012. They're made out of all kinds of unique materials like meteorite, whiskey barrel, ironwood, dinosaur bone, ethical diamond simulants, World War II rifle stocks, titanium and tungsten carbide, Damascus steel, and countless others. And they also offer a line of watches. Each Thorum watch is outfitted with EU mechanical movement, which means it needs no batteries ever. The one they sent me is the Meteorite watch, which contains a half-billion-year-old Gibeon meteorite piece. Every single purchase also includes a free silicone activity band, an American walnut wood ring box. They also have free worldwide shipping and a lifetime guarantee. Whether you need a wedding ring, an anniversary ring, a ring that just looks awesome, or a watch, head over to Thorum.com and use code WANG. You'll get 20% off a truly unique ring or watch. There's a lot of holidays that people like to celebrate this time of year. As I'm recording this, we're in the middle of Hanukkah. And of course you got Christmas, Festivus. But then on December 26th, there's a holiday. I'm not talking about Boxing Day. I'm talking about Jizmas. See, on 4chan, someone special came every year. And it wasn't Santa. It was the cum bottle guy, aka the cum collector guy, aka Jesus Christ, who with him brought a special kind of holiday cheer. It begins in 2007 with a post on B. 4 plastic bottles. 1 larger one and 3 smaller ones. All of them completely filled except for the 4th one, which was just getting started. Containing what appears to be a yellowish beige fluid
presumably cum. A piece of paper had B written on it and the date 12/26/07. I wasn't able to find an archive of the original thread, perhaps because at this point nobody realized how important this would be. But at this point, this sort of behavior was relatively unprecedented. We're 5 years before the cum box. We're 7 years before the Pony Project. We're well before the point where any of the other cum artifacts would become infamous. There's a post that changes the course of history, changes the very nature of the world we live in. And December 26th would come around next year, and he would return with more bottles. And the next year, 3 bigger bottles. At this point, it's become established as a ritual. Forget about Boxing Day, now it's all about Jizmas. Now that special time comes around on the 26th, and people are furiously refreshing B to see it as it comes. They're furiously refreshing B so as not to miss it. And like clockwork, he'd be there with even more jizz and his trademark filthy gray carpet. But of course, with anything like this, you have to ask, is it real or are we being bamboozled? Well, of course, there were the true believers, there's also doubters. 07, 08, 09, 10, 11. I also really doubt this is real. I can't say I'm much of an expert on the subject, but I'd imagine semen will either dry out or grow mold after a few months. Even if this guy is keeping it frozen or whatever. I'm an expert at bottled semen, and this is real. It's so fake. I tried doing this, but it all just goes dark brown, then black after a few weeks. Why though? To prove it's fake? Because I was 18 at the time and full of cum. Something else though that people are noticing is the sediment at the bottom of the bottles. Throughout the years, some people theorized that the sediment was a yeast of some sort. Maybe some kind of byproduct from some kind of brewing process, while others thought that was just what happens. Why does the last one have bubbles in it? Wish I could cum bubbles. No scientist, but I think it has something to do with decaying organic matter and fermentation. Does that mean it could turn to cum wine? Would you drink the cum wine? I feel like a lot of you would. In any case, say this is for real. How much would it take for someone to actually achieve this? Several people throughout the years have thought to try and mathematically solve the mystery of the cum bottles. Tracking the yearly estimated amounts versus the total in graphs with varying assumptions about when he actually started the project. You have one user who, based on the average ejaculate for a 24-year-old, the sizes of the bottles, and their growth, guessed that he would have to be nutting 1.33333 times a day to fill these bottles. This tradition would continue through the 7th coming of Jesus in 2013. He noted that there wasn't too much more this year because he was getting laid, but in any case, the 7th coming was perhaps the one that spread it out the most throughout the entire internet, perhaps because of the catchy little name. But then in 2014, things would be a little different. Merry Jizmas, I have returned. As you can see, the oldest bottle has taken a turn for the worse. I opened it to fill these holy water bottles with a syringe. Fresh air must have fucked it all up. Anyway, I made an experimental noisy sound collage microcassette that comes with a little holy water bottle of my cum from bottle number 1, limited to 6 copies. I have no idea how I'll get them in your hands, but anyway, they exist and are for you. Also, I don't know if I'll be able to keep going on this whole thing. My living situation intensifies in its complication. I'll do what I can though. It's unclear if anyone actually received these packages. I've seen posts claiming that they have, but no actual proof. And I haven't been able to find an upload of this music anywhere. There's other projects calling themselves Jizzes, but they don't seem to line up with what this is. But now that he said he's not sure if he can continue this, 2015 rolls around and things start to get a little interesting. Now you've got this will he, won't he question, and it's getting later and later in the day. And then, he comes. And he's got more cassettes. No wait, actually this is just last year's picture Photoshop. It's not him. So now the 27th is quickly approaching. You got people saying that it's over, and he said it might be over. While others are pointing out that last time he also posted later than usual. But at a certain point, people start to accept it. My first Jizmas was very disappointing, but I will be looking forward to it next year. During my wait, I was in good company among friends. Perhaps that's what St. Jizzes wanted, us to come together for one day and wait for Jizz to come. I'm going to sleep now. Hopefully he doesn't come while I am sleeping, but I would be cool with that if he chose to come with my fellow friends. Anons. Thank you, and Merry Jizmas. So Jizmas came and went, and didn't happen. But then on the 31st, B gets a surprise visitor. I have returned B, but a lot has happened since the last time I posted. And he has a pair of small bottles, saying that this is all that remains of his collection after an incident with his now ex-girlfriend. Is your ex now your ex because she found your jizz bottles, or for some other reason? There were other tensions leading up to the breakup, but the discovery of my collection was the last straw. Of course, they also put him up to drinking it, and he obliges, with photo proof including shots of it inside of his mouth. And with that, he said it's time to start a new collection. But was this really him? I'm not convinced. That carpet is similar enough if you're going off of memory, but I've been staring at this for hours now. It's clearly a different carpet. But you know, maybe he moved out. Well, the handwriting also appears to be completely different. Observe how much more space this guy puts between his slashes and the letter B, and how the circle on Jesus' letter B points upward, while this guy's points downward. Additionally, this guy's 0 is open at the top, while Jesus' is completely circular. So no, I don't think this is Jesus. I believe what we have here is a mystery comer, who drank it while pretending to be another guy. No, Jesus would not be back this year. Perhaps the personal issues he spoke of got to be too much. Maybe it was that now we're in the post-cum artifact world and this just wasn't as special anymore. And 2016 would come and go with no Jizmas, same for 2017. But then, on December 26th, 2018, 12/26, 23:45 EST, be there. This was a new picture, no Photoshop. After all these years, he'd come back. But why? Hello, Anons. My name is of no concern. Many years ago, I posted images like the one you see as a little joke. It gathered some traction, so I posted similar images for the next few years. While the joke was initially funny, I think it's been going on for far too long now. What you have come to Jesus is actually just some guy who brewed ginger beer at home and thought it looked like jizz. You're a phony! I figured it'd be obvious with the yeast sediment at the bottom, but very few people ever caught on. I no longer brew ginger beer. It was only a phase, so that's why I've not posted any images. So it was all fake. Some people caught on, but for the most part he had fooled people for a decade. And as evidence that this was ginger beer, he posted more batches of ginger beer that he had made. I know, granted, there's nothing he gives that's 100% proof that this is the same guy, but I mean, you look at those bottles, that is exactly what's going on here. In any case, later on in the thread, a person calling themselves Jizzeroni claims to be picking up the mantle. I'm here, starting a new bottle already. My first bottle was finished a few months ago. The sediments are legit and not yeast, although jizz does ferment. Really though, this just looks like more ginger beer. That all being said though, since the guy in 2015 was likely a different guy, maybe he really did drink cum. Also spotted in the archive thread. I'll see you all on Wang. Wang needs to talk about this on his YouTube channel. Is it any connection with the My Little Pony cum jar? It took me 5 years, but here we are. It almost feels fitting in a way that Jesus, much like Santa, turned out not to be real. Of course, now that I've said that, don't show this video to any kids, because, you know, the reason why you wouldn't want kids to see this video is so they don't find out Santa's fake. Anyway, that's all for now. If you like this video, turn on notifications and check out my video about the guy who tried to grow human life in a jar. I'm out.
No.
It's now been over 1 week since somebody tried to...
Something that I'd hear a lot.
Okay, you know what?
Everyone, this is your favorite president, Donald J. Trump, with some very exciting news. My last 2 Trump digital trading card collections sold out in just hours. And now I'm back with my latest series called the Mugshot Edition. I wonder where that came from, the Mugshot Edition. 47 all-new stunning cards, and here is the best part. I'm doing 2 important things for my Trump collectors. For the first time, we're creating a real physical Trump card. Purchase 47 digital cards and we'll mail you a beautiful trading card It is an authentic piece of the suit I wore when I took that now famous mugshot, and it was a great suit, believe me, a really good suit. It's all cut up and you're gonna get a piece of it. I'll be autographing some of them. A true collector's item. This is something to give to your family, to your kids and grandchildren. With the purchase of 47 of the Trump digital trading cards, you will also be invited to join me for a gala dinner at my beautiful Mar-a-Lago, my home in Florida. You've perhaps heard of it. It's become a pretty famous place. We just had our first dinner for my collectors, and we had a lot of fun together. That was a great evening. That was a fantastic evening. Some people call these cards pop art or modern art. I wish I looked as good as I do on those
Looks
cards.
like
And
AI
I can tell
art.
you, they give me muscles where, believe me, I don't have them. I wanted to keep my Trump digital trading cards at the same price, $99 each. So go to collecttrumpcards.com. It's really easy to buy. They sold out incredibly fast the last time, and I think the mugshot edition will sell out even faster. So don't miss out. Go to collecttrumpcards.com. Go right now and collect your own exclusive piece of American history, and we'll all have fun together. Have a good life.
Is this real?
Oh, God. Oh, jeez, man. I just... Like, this guy might win the election this time around. I feel like there's a really good chance he's gonna win this time. Like, this is... Oh, God, because it's one thing for him to do this after he's been president, but, like, I mean, he's gonna be president again. There's a good chance, at least, it's gonna be president again. They won't keep... I think people are going to vote for him again. I do. I think my read right now is that I think Trump will win. I think if the election was today, Trump would win. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's what I think. Holy fuck. Put him in jail? Who says... Guys... The founding fathers didn't think that it was necessary to add a provision that you couldn't run for president from jail because they couldn't even comprehend the idea that you would vote for a fucking person in jail to be president. So they've actually never, like, there's not actually a rule against that. So even if you put him in jail, that won't stop him from running for president. And if you put him in jail, I'm going to be honest, guys, I think more people would vote for him. You're going to get every meme voter out there. Yeah, there are no alternatives. Yeah, this is going to happen. Then change the law? You can't. It's too much, like, because it's too big of a thing. You can't do that. Well, you can, but it takes, like, a long time. And they won't have time before the election. It's too late. Oh my God. The world is a meme, so it will totally be happening. You're severely overestimating Trump's current appeal. Okay. So this is just the first thing that I was able to pull. All right. This is in no way a evidence here. So this is data, right? Is this the best data? Maybe not, but we're gonna look at it, right? Polls ending in 2023. Oh, these are the different polls right here. Okay, so this is an aggregation of each different poll with a link to each poll itself. Presidential votes here. So we have Biden at 31%, Trump at 30. Well, look at this. In December 12th, they were tied, but now he's getting more powerful. He's 5% ahead, 2% ahead, 1%, 2% ahead, 8% ahead, 10% ahead. 3% ahead, even 1% ahead, 6% ahead, 1% behind. Uh-oh. I don't know what happened. 1% behind. Well, you know, things like to change. 34%. He's look at this. He's 8% ahead. Backwards. Result. Wait, what? Can't read the dates. Oh, you're right. You're right. I am reading the dates wrong. You're totally right. I actually didn't pay attention to what the dates are. I just assumed that they were, they started at the beginning. But you can see, obviously, in the majority of this...
Okay.
Trump is ahead,
to my
man.
channel.
Right now, it's even. If this one is a 12, right now, it's even. Look at the gates. Yeah, look at that. Trump's winning by a lot. Yes. And these are all polls, and you can click on any of these polls and see the information. So whenever I said this, guys, I usually try not to say things that I don't kind of know. Like, I've seen stuff like this before. That's why I said it. It's not like I just made this up. I didn't make this up for content. Poll it here. Okay, let's do that. And no, you don't get a third option. There are no third parties. And that's it. So you're gonna vote for Trump or Biden, and you're gonna like it. Which one? All right. This is the presidential election 2023 on my stream. Trump, Biden. Put the EU in there? That's okay. According to a lot of people, there's plenty of illegal votes that happen anyway. This will be just like the real election. Here we go. All right. There you go, guys.
Welcome to my channel.
Well, well, well. Look at what we have here. For the memes. You are going to vote an NFT. An NFT. I hope you guys know that if any normal content creator or influencer online made a tweet about NFT collections today, they would be getting roasted and hate. But Trump somehow is immune to this, and nobody seems to care. It literally just doesn't matter. He's just a business. Yeah, it just doesn't matter. Like, oh my god. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, it's just the man's a bona fide hustler. He is, man. Glad I'm not American. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. So there's the vote right there, guys. I can't even believe this is real.
Malcolm, it's time for Tropic. What are you doing?
Don't count him out. That best is chick. Hold on, Molly.
Oh, just like Platoon.
Please don't move. I see you. Hold on, Molly.
My son's guts hanging out. Jesus, what are we doing?
We get back to the world.
It's hard to look at. Sorry.
You're my brother.
Tree line or what? Tuck and Kim got the blue ball.
Hey,
Let him score
love that
before
guy.
it goes.
Jets are coming in. We only have one chance at
Jesus,
this.
go hater.
Go.
Movie's loaded.
And action. See, that's what I think it is, Damien. I think it's the line. Yeah. I don't know if Four Leaf would say that. Would you?
So now we in rewrites, right?
Where you going?
Let's rewrite.
I have no idea over each other.
That's what's going down.
Planes are inbound. Get. Shut the fuck. Perfect. Dead.
Damien
That's
sucks.
the signal. Go. Yeah, that's my shit.
Oh shit.
In the Vietnamese set of Tropic Thunder, where
She
a
is
$4
so
million
charmingly attractive.
explosion tarred the east.
not. Romero double barrel.
Spaffa. Welcome to my channel.
My brother in Christ. Yeah, you finished the game. But that's sold off. Oh. Tomorrow. Armored hellhounds. I'll put the fear of God in you by using that.
Location.
Sorry.
And the camera who insiders say can control a star-studded cast,
Clearly
including
not.
flatulent star of the popular Fatties franchise, Jeff Portnoy.
I'm so excited, you know what I'm saying, about doing Tropic Thunder. Hey, drink booty sweat, baby. Drink booty sweat.
But the real Lazarus underwent a controversial pigmentation alteration procedure in order to play the platoon's African American.
You have no real family. You're on the wrong side of 40. You're childless.
The fuck?
Somebody close to you said, one more flop and it's over.
Somebody said they were close to me?
Damn, Tyra.
I ain't got a good brain.
I think you've got a fine brain, Jack. Now the question is, can Speedman make audiences happy with what's being called the most expensive?
Really?
It's the pecker. You got time for your agent?
Just calling all their friends.
Hey,
huh?
buddy, guess
Not
what I'm
mad
staring
at
at right?
I feel like all the good ones are gone.
Well, at least you get to choose yours. I'm stuck with mine.
Holy shit.
Doing right there. Hello, Les.
Okay.
Hello,
okay.
Les.
Okay.
We got you loud and clear here, Les.
I see you. I see you.
Is that Tom Cruise?
That's right. Who here's a key grip? You?
Jesus, why is his hand so big?
Hit that director in the face. Really fucking hard.
God damn it, Damien! For all due respect, Les Grossman did not blow up the jungle. What?
Fuck the jungle.
Exactly.
Phony cocksucker.
This nation owes you a huge debt. Now shut the fuck up and let me do my job. That every time you have a thought, I'm gonna have to tiptoe past my wedding ring. Take control of your actors, right?
When we die.
Brother, the traitor moon. What the fuck? 4 dogs, 4 armots, and I'm out. In nomine Veritas, in nomine Filii et Patris, in nomine Veritas. Attack, amen, and attack. The power of Christ compels you. Okay. Hello? Hello?